I was in 7th grade. I was laying on the couch and we got a phone call. When my father got on the phone and after a little bit of talking to this person, he said that no, she's not married. Right there and then I knew that it was for me.
When we think of marriage, we don't think slavery. However, to deny a human their basic rights and enslave them through a marriage is a reality that still continues on a large scale. A forced marriage is the marriage in which one or both of the individuals involved are married without his or her consent, or against his or her will. Historically, forced marriages were used to require a captive, slave, or prisoner of war to integrate with the host community and accept his or her fate. But in society today, it is still a practiced form of abuse. This documentary will cover the topic of forced marriages through the account of a victim, the historical aspect, the emotional, and the perspective of a mother who forced her daughter into marriage.
The forced marriage and or arranged marriage. For some people, there's a lot of difference in those two systems. Social scientists, particularly sociologists, consider both as forced marriages because they talk to their children, girl and the boy, and get their information. Sometimes you see the picture or you don't see the picture, but you get to know about each other from both families, and then you say yes. But basically, you are entering as an object rather than as a person in that marriage. And then when you get married that way, then you get to know each other. But the first few months or sometime years is I-it relationship. तुम एक बीवी हो बस, मैं एक husband हूँ, चलता है काम.
Yeah, the research shows that about 85% of forced marriages happen with women, about 15% happen with men. And it really depends on the circumstances surrounding it. For some women, the forced marriage is to allow the parents to have a financial agreement. Sometimes it is because of sexual orientation.
Arranged marriage is part of tradition. Arranged marriage is also part of religion because Allah ka hukam. It's God's decision for you to marry somebody there. And so you don't question your parents, they don't question themselves, and they arrange your marriage, and then you're forced, pressure from both families.
At this time, I would have been just turning 13. I was told that I need to take pictures, that I'm going to be going to a Muslim school, and those pictures were taken, me not knowing that it was for passport to go back home. I didn't find out that I was going back home until the night before.
Sometimes a woman is told that she's going back home to visit a sick relative. And when she gets to her home country, they have they've forced, they're going to force her to marry someone. And that can be a very traumatic event for women, for whoever it is that's being forced to get married. The trauma of being shocked. They're shocked that they have to go through something like this. They are traumatized by the nature of this event that suddenly has been thrust upon them. And it's scary. It can be really daunting for women to go through such an ordeal. The fear that comes along with not knowing what's going to happen, the anxiety over what's going to happen in the future, the depression that can follow from feeling like you're powerless and there's no hope. So this can lead to a lot of mental illness, mental disorders, can lead to emotional disturbances. If the event was quite traumatic or there was forced sexual consummation of the marriage, sometimes the woman will have post-traumatic stress disorder and will relive memories, flashbacks of the event, whether it be the marriage, whether it be a consummation, whether it be the threats against her life if she doesn't get married. And so the trauma that comes from that can have long-lasting effects. It can stay with people for a very long time.
A forced marriage brings a lot of hatred in a person's heart, not only for the person that they are being forced into marrying, but for the person that's done that to you to be forced into married. It brings along great amount of emotional damage between siblings and between families, period. For me, as experiencing that, I have wished to myself time and time again, I wish that, I had never been born. I wish I was a boy. There was many things that I, went through my mind that I wish was different. My marriage or whatever it is I talk about, just even thinking about it, it relives it in my mind. It relives it in my dreams. Waking up in the morning, I wake up in the morning a total different person simply because of what I have dreamt. It doesn't feel like a dream. It feels so real.
In the olden days when tribes used to arrange marriage, whatever, it wasn't as bad as it is today, because they are working in the field together. They are working in the house together, and so they are getting to know each other more. So it wasn't a blind decision made by parents.
Yeah, I was in Pakistan and I was 17 years old, and I got married in age of 17 because my mother was a widow, and we had a tough financial situation. And it was an arranged marriage, and I was married to a doctor. He was 13 years older than me. Things were good in the beginning of our marriage, like 6-7 years. Then later I came to know that he is an alcoholic. And after 13 years of marriage, we were divorced. And he left me with the 4 children. And after divorce, I moved to States to live with my younger brother and mother. I lived there for 2.5 years. And after that, I moved to Canada for the better future of my children and to get immigration and some real status so I can legally work and raise them. It took like 7 years to bring them here because of some immigration hurdles. And when they were here, I saw that they were not children anymore. They were grown-ups, they were teenagers, and they were in high school. And it was very difficult for me to deal all of a sudden with the teenagers. And as I have seen the teenagers, what they do here, I was really, really scared.
So the expectation to conform with the community and to fit in with the norms, the traditions, can often lead people to have extreme views of their behavior, what they have to do. They have to conform to what other families have done. There's a lot of saving face in communities such as South Asian communities where they feel like they have to behave a certain way. Their daughter must marry somebody from a certain culture, a certain background, a certain caste. And if their daughter does not, that they will have shame upon them. They will be looked down upon in the community. And so while we may think that what kind of person forces their child to get married against their will to somebody who they've never met, it might not necessarily be considered something they're doing to hurt their child as much as it is something to protect themselves.
Of course, no parent has bad intentions towards their life or their married life. So whatever we do, we just want to save them from the bad circumstances. So that's why I pushed her. And first I sent her to Pakistan to meet with the person which I have decided which I chose for her. And when she said, "Oh, he's okay," and I rushed back home, and in 10 days she got married. And within few months we came to know that things are not working. And while these can I say, while they were having arguments, and I think she had a daughter, my daughter had a baby girl, and then things went very worse, and they were divorced. After divorced, she went back to school and and because I pushed her to get married in an early age, so I have to face the consequences. So I left my job, I did everything for her, and I started taking care of the baby girl, and she went back to school and started working. Now I saw that she is going through a lot. It's a very tough life for her now. She is working, she's a full-time mother, and she has to take care of lots of things. So I think that being a parent, we should trust our children, and we should give them some time. You know, we should not do any hassle decisions. We should just give them time, and let's see how the things will go.
When a female is put in the position that I've put in, where cigarettes being put out on your face, that makes you feel like you're not beautiful and you're not worthy of life. That's what I felt for so many years. Why a man does that to a woman, I don't know. But all I do know is there's many women who have not been able to leave that position. I was the fortunate one to have survived it. I feel the pain that every woman out there goes through based on the forced marriage, arranged marriage. It doesn't matter what kind of marriage. If it's a marriage that both parties don't agree with,